Our salmon. No one knows that. It's all, to me, everything's all guesswork.
In many tropical areas, a way of life and the ecosystem supporting it have been displaced by thousands of shrimp ponds that operate in or near mangrove wetlands.
Mangrove forest is like the supermarket of people like us to collect crabs or some other kind of herbs for medicine. Their life totally depends on the forest.
One of the great premises of aquaculture is to provide food for the people who need it the most, but this kind of aquaculture is doing exactly the opposite. It's destroying the habitats that were feeding the people who needed food the most.
The immense volume of salt water released from the ponds, often carrying bacteria, viruses, and the chemicals used to control them, has contaminated freshwater aquifers that people depend on. Some shrimp growers are working to improve their operations. They've improved water quality by restoring nearby mangroves and by building settlement ponds for treating wastewater. Some are stocking ponds with lower densities of shrimp to reduce the need for antibiotics. Some salmon growers have also taken first steps toward addressing problems that have plagued their industry. Vaccines now being used have eliminated the need for some antibiotics. Stronger nets and anchoring systems have helped reduce escapements. And experiments with land-based tanks are designed to protect marine environments from farm waste and disease. But for most of the shrimp farming industry, and for most net cage operations raising carnivorous species like salmon and tuna, critics believe that fundamental problems remain, some of which may never be solved. Fortunately, not all fish eat fish. Tilapia, one of the most widely farmed freshwater fish in the world, is an omnivore. They can be raised almost entirely on plant-based proteins. Catfish is another aquaculture success story involving an omnivorous fish.
When I first started to work, catfish feed contained 12 to 14% fish meal. And today, that feed is about 1 or 2% fish meal. And this has resulted from research.
Shellfish are also being farmed in an ever-increasing volume. From the Pacific Northwest to the Mediterranean coast of France, this type of aquaculture is becoming an economic mainstay in communities that have been hurt by declining fisheries.
These are animals that stay quiet, they stay where you put them, and they clean up the water. You can produce absolutely enormous amount of food in a very small area. Shellfish, in fact, have the potential of feeding humanity.
Many consumers remain uncertain of where their seafood comes from, about how it was caught, or whether it was farm-raised.
Any idea where your fish came from? Whether it was wild or farmed?
I have no idea.
I don't know. It looks good though.
I have no clue. I'm just eating it.
Knowledge about food safety and whether a fish being marketed is overexploited is often vague at best.
If consumers thought about what they were eating, that this is wild animals, I mean, if you went into the store and there were rhinoceros steaks and some tiger chops, you'd ask a few questions.
Reliable information about the origins of seafood products and the risks that can be involved with eating them is now becoming more available. Fisheries that are environment-friendly are being certified according to internationally recognized standards by the Marine Stewardship Council, an independent nonprofit organization. and the products are being marketed with the MSC Eco label. Although aquaculture is not yet being certified for a consumer label, wild-caught and farm-raised products are being rated in seafood guides published by a variety of organizations and can be downloaded from the internet.
I think it's a real grassroots movement. They're going into the store and asking, where does this product come from? Is it sustainably caught? People put more pressure on retailers. Retailers will put more pressure on the wholesalers. Wholesalers on up the line.
A growing number of restaurants and chefs are also getting involved.
It's very important for a chef to select the right seafood and knows whether it's plentiful or not, because you establish recipe, you establish a way of cooking with that fish, you put your choice in the right place so that you can enjoy fish in the future with your children and grandchildren.
As it becomes more apparent that the bounty of our oceans depends on an ecological balance millions of years in the making, a balance more fragile than ever imagined, we're learning how important it is to fish in a way that preserves the planet's most critical life support system.
I think fisheries and ocean ecosystems are in much greater trouble than is commonly appreciated. If we act in the relatively near future, we can turn some of those things around.
If we could get together, the regulators, the scientists, and the fishermen, I can't see why a solution can't be found. I just can't see why it can't happen.
If we are to succeed in consuming aquatic creatures as a part of what we eat, we cannot rely on wild-caught populations anymore. The question is, how do we feed a population of 6 billion people and climbing? We've got to take the pressure off. And one of the possibilities is through responsible aquaculture.
It really is very much up to us to decide. People shape the world. We can choose. There's a lot of potential to bring things back and have abundance and have beauty.
The health of the ocean and the quality of our food is ultimately up to all of us. It depends on the everyday actions of ordinary people who care about what kind of world our children will inherit.